And there we are. Welcome in another episode of TigerBait Live. Buddy Songy in studio with us. Happy New Year's, everybody. Of course, a lot of you were up with us last night for our post-game show. And I'm happy we're going to have Buddy in here tonight to get his thoughts on that, I don't know what you would call that game last night, fiasco. There's a lot of different words for it. But, again, thanks to Pride Roofing for sponsoring us each and every week. Got a lot to talk about. A big acquisition for Pride Roofing. A big multi-million-dollar deal that Mike Faraday and Alex Martinez secured, and he's all excited about it. And I'm going to give you some specifics and thoughts on that tonight, and that and a lot more. We got LSU's big win over John Calipari in Kentucky in basketball last night, the football game. Brian Kelly, as of course you see the headline, Brian Kelly's got a lot of work to do to get this LSU football team and program on the right track. And a big game tomorrow night in the PMAC. White out for Kim Mulkey, number one South Carolina coming to town. And I've already got people, I don't know about you, buddy, but people are reaching out to me to get some tickets.
Yeah, good to see you. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope that you enjoyed the Christmas holidays and bringing in the New Year. And you know, Mike, it was really interesting this year with Christmas being on Saturday. It has been hell to figure out what day of the week is. Friday felt like Saturday. Saturday felt like Sunday. Then you have Sunday. I was doing good on the diet, enjoying all the turkey, the ham, the broccoli, the yams and all that. Doing okay, exercising. And then we get Friday, Saturday, boom, New Year's Eve with Bama taking care of Cincinnati. And everybody's looking at Denbrock saying, is that going to be the next offensive coordinator at LSU during that game? And then, of course, you had Georgia. Kirby, I'm not so smart. Right now, he's taking that tag off. I still don't understand how the Georgia Bulldogs are a 3-point favorite over Alabama in the championship game. But that all being said, SEC
But
proven.
you say that. Don't you like their position losing that game and really losing it soundly in the SEC championship game versus had they won it?
Have they ever beat Alabama with Kirby Smart?
It's kind of like the LSU, it's the reverse of LSU in 2011.
And you got a walk-on quarterback who's playing his butt off. What I'm saying is I thought the game ought to be a picket. But so that happened on Friday. And then, Mike, we had the New Year's Day and the big games. The SEC finally picked up a little steam and won some games. Ole Miss hurt their quarterback and laid an egg. And then, of course, we get to the basketball game. And kind of like, remember that old show, The Wide World of Sports, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat? Well, that's kind of what the Tiger
John
fans
McKay.
had.
Or is it Adam McKay?
Yeah, Jim McKay.
Jim McKay.
There you go. Hey, man, you did post-game last night. I'm proud of him and Preston. But the thrill of victory with the behind-the-neck slam by Xavier Pinson to get the 65-point deficit Kentucky couldn't overdo. It's over. You flip quickly over to TV and football. You see Avery Atkins kick off. And I'm thinking, this defensive line ought to be able to do a good job. And, boy, all of a sudden, Kansas State starts to put a whipping. And I really like Brad Davis and the job that he did with the interim. You and I have had some good discussions, some spicy discussions. I never thought LSU should have been in the bowl game. This is the year. I don't like the fact that they ended the streak of not having a losing season in last night's
Do you know anybody that went?
What's that?
Do you know anybody that went?
I don't know anybody from Baton Rouge that went.
I'm talking about the people I know that go to almost every away game didn't go.
Yeah.
Now, I'm assuming a lot of Houston alumni. Of course, that's a big LSU's a big alumni base. One of the top three, Dallas, Atlanta, Houston. But, yeah, I mean.
And there was nothing to cheer about. And so Kansas State, and I described Kansas State today, and no disrespect to you guys at Kansas State.
You can disrespect them.
Kansas State to LSU football is like that gnat, that little mosquito that's flying around, and you're trying to slap it away. And then you're looking for the fly swatter. And then, of course, they turned into a big bad pit bull and ate up LSU. Give the guys credit. Love John Kirkland finishing up. It really was pissed off that Jack Besh didn't play. The last two games, Jack Besh didn't play. One because he didn't practice the whole week, and those guys didn't play him. And then last night, didn't practice or whatever. And did he get cleared protocol on COVID or not?
Yeah, he did. But
Okay. I don't understand why he didn't play. That to me.
He'd only gotten 1 day of practice after he got
So
played.
what? He's been there all year, and he's one of the best receivers LSU has. This is not like getting on a bicycle and falling off. He's been there all his life. He's a football player. So whoever made that decision, I certainly don't agree with. But that all being said, I got a lot of pointed comments about watching the teams in college football, where I think LSU is and where they need to go. And I'm going to hit everybody a little bit with some different stuff tonight.
Yeah, it's it was not and we knew it wasn't going to be a pretty game. Of course, I didn't expect it to be where Kansas State basically scored every time. I mean, how many of their first 8 possessions they score? I mean,
yeah.
Dane Bergeron with a super chat. Thank you, Dane. Hey, guys, I am hungover and extra spicy after being at the game last night.
Uh-oh, there you go.
I support my school in good times and bad. Yeah, look, I
kudos to everybody that went to that game.
No doubt. And look, you can support LSU, but you can still also be, knowing what it was going to be, almost wishing, there was some suggestion that maybe LSU should fake some COVID so they wouldn't have to play. But the word I get, and I've gotten it from several sources, that LSU actually tried to get out of the game, and the SEC wouldn't let them.
Yeah.
To the point of threatening their bowl cut for the whole league. So,
yeah,
because they got out of it last year.
Yeah, they did. They did.
And the SEC, obviously when they cut the pie between TV contracts and bowl revenue, the league itself gets a same cut as each school. So they've got a nice balance in the checking account in savings. So what did they do when every school got rocked by COVID? They went into their reserves and gave everybody, $25 million?
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
So anyways, whatever it is, and it's like, hey, no, you're playing. We need the money. So I get it from their point of view. From our point of view, it was like an exhibition and an opportunity for everybody in the country to kick LSU while they're down.
Well, if there was a season where everything could go badly, then you need to write a book about this particular season. And the exclamation point, and I felt like a DA, because I said at the end, I think Cade York's going to have a couple field goals, and LSU's going to hang and win this thing 26-23. Well, of course, once again, did you ever get confirmation on what happened to him? Because this is interesting. Now, I hope Cade York comes back, but he doesn't have anything to prove with PATs and field goals.
I'm hearing he's going.
But I'm going to say, I think he's going to go. Drew Allamont, of course, who kicked the game winner in the game of the century, 9-6, told me that Cade's already graduated. So really there's no reason for him to come back. So we didn't see him in his last game. You could tell the frustration.
Unless some big law firm's going to step up and give him an NIL deal.
Well, he had the NIL deal earlier, remember? But that all being said,
is that where we're going to get it to? I mean, are we going to get to that kind of point?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, A&M and Alabama has set the standard on what to do. But my point is that is the telltale of the whole season in 2022 when your frickin' kicker inexplicably doesn't have the capability to play.
Gets hurt in pregame warm-ups.
Yeah, and so that but look, that kid is
about a Grigri.
That's the best. That is the best field goal kicker I've ever seen. Certainly, I don't think it'll be a long time.
And LSU's been blessed. I mean, right behind him before him was Cole.
Yeah,
Tracy.
But look, it actually also purging. You know how you do these makeovers on TV or your garden or your house or whatever, and they come in, they spend all this money, they show you before and after?
Yeah.
Well, guess what, folks? This is before. What you saw last night, hopefully, is rock bottom. And one of the things that I think Brian Kelly is going to do very meticulously, as we've seen with the coaching staff, is build this puppy back up from the ground floor. And all of you who used to go to Bayou Bash with all of us and all that, man, you're jumping and you're drinking beer and you're eating Manda sausage and jambalaya and everything. Hey, we got the number 3. But it was always Dolly Parton, top heavy, with skilled people.
That's
Guess
the number one,
what?
that's the number one unit next year.
Do you know how many offensive linemen Coach O recruited in his last recruiting season? 2. Garrett Dellinger and Kimo McAnally, who I think, by the way, has a chance to do something next year because these guys are going to teach them. So right out of the gate, you thank those 5 linemen that have been there. Deckel is playing in more games than anybody. Of course, Chasen Hines. Look, we all feel bad. Chasen Hines ate everything in sight for the last month, but he's still playing his butt out there. Boy, he looked heavy. And then Liam Shanahan. What a cool story for this kid to come from Boston and get a little taste.
I wish he would have had a little bit more success.
I do too, but my point is, and then Eddie Ingram, and then, of course, Cam Wire. Now, I don't know if Cam Wire's coming back or not. I think there's a potential. But my point is that right out of the gate, folks, and I know some people have protected the O-line this year, but you're going to see an appreciably better, more fit, bigger, nastier. The big boys are coming, and nobody knows when it's going to happen, but Brian Kelly is going to build this puppy, starting at the offensive line.
Call me crazy, but I think that unit has the opportunity to come around
Absolutely.
quicker than a lot of people
Appreciably better than this year. And guess what else is going to be better next year? Quarterback situation and quarterback depth. Now, look, we didn't get too many times cross-haired on this Garrett Nussmeier. I want to mention it one more time because there's been a lot of scuttlebutt. And if you remember the story, the way it played out, Nuss and his daddy called up Jake Peets, and obviously Ogeron was in some form of the conversation, and said, look, we're going to take the red shirt off. We're going to let him play against Arkansas. Well, inexplicably, after Max kind of was a little sluggish and didn't do much the first 2 series, Nussmeier comes in and plays the rest of the game. Throws a couple picks, throws some touchdowns. But at that point, everybody was on the assumption, okay, he's going to burn the red shirt. Well, things changed. Him and his daddy decided to change. And so what's your final opinion?
The mom is in the mix too.
Well, so what's your final opinion? Because I see both sides of the story.
I'm with him not burning the red.
That's what I'm saying. I see both sides of the story of saying, look, it's a meaningless
and
bowl
Brad
game.
Davis, I can tell you, Brad Davis, I'm told the word on from what Coach, and I'm paraphrasing, was that he wasn't even going to ask Garrett to take the shirt off because he knows what the Texas Bowl was and what it wasn't, what this thing means and what it doesn't mean, and he wasn't going to ask that kid to burn a year for that game.
But very seldom does a kid stay at a school 5 years, especially if he's a quarterback. Because if he's not,
but it's like to have all those options.
Well, and so we'll see. But anyway, I had the other opinion is that if you do burn the red shirt on this game, you are a dog. You are getting a head up on everybody for spring ball. You are earning some respect in that locker room. You bonding with those guys, and you're starting off and setting a good tone for 2022. Now, we know Miles Brennan. We didn't think 3 weeks ago he was coming back. He's coming back. He's not in any kind of shape to play football. He's probably just getting healthy. He's probably got to lose some weight, get in shape, and we'll see that process go. And that's another good thing. Kudos to all the people. Look, Eddie Kennison, Austin Thomas, Tommy Moffitt, Corey Raymond, on and on, all these legendary LSU people that have gone. And I've heard it from a lot of people.
But actually, the people who have been moaning about some of those guys getting cut loose are now understanding why they were cut loose.
Well, but the change is not something that you have to be afraid of.
Right.
So I'm here to tell you that it's not as bad as it looks or seems, and I'll map that out during the course of the show.
Blaine Smith, what is the word on Jacoby Matthews? Certainly after the national championship game, dead period ends, visits start happening, unofficial visits start happening. It's going to be thrown wide open for Jacoby. I maintain I don't see him going anywhere but LSU. So we'll see. It's going to be a very, very interesting January.
I want to sing that song with Stevie Wonder with Jacoby Matthews. When he is signed, sealed, delivered, he's a Tiger.
He also adds that LSU needs 2 or 3 linebackers in the portal.
No doubt.
Yeah. Crad B. So I read that A&M is going to be the next dynasty. Why? Well, I'm with you. And look, yeah, I know they got a top class this year, and most of their classes in the last since Jimbo's been there have been top 6, 7. He's had good recruiting classes all these years. But I'll still stick by my prediction that he'll never win an SEC title.
Okay, 2 years ago they were 9-1.
As awful as this LSU team is, and I don't give a damn about his quarterback getting hurt, you lost to LSU.
Beleaguered and
really, LSU should have beat him the year before.
Well, I was just
Had Max started that game, I've said it 100 times. I believe LSU would have won that game if Max would have played.
Well, I'm just setting the table though. They were 9-1 and number 5 in the country on the outside, looking in with the CFP. And there were some people that thought they deserved a shot in the Final Four, and I adamantly disagreed. So we know what happened at media day. They were picked second behind Bama. And obviously had a chance, and lo and behold, they, once again lost 4 games, although they did beat Alabama this year, and Jimbo Fisher became the first assistant that has had relationships with Coach Saban and coach with Nick to beat him. Kirby's never done that, and nobody else has ever done that. That all being said, losing Mike Elko, their DC, from my Aggie people that I talked to, that is a big loss. And guess what happens? I don't care if you're a kid, I don't care if you're a woman, a man, or whatever. When you spoil people with money, that's not the right kind of love, in my opinion. That's the kind of love that goes to hell in a handbasket real quick. And so they spent millions and millions of dollars, and they're damn proud of it. I sat here 4 months ago and said, Mike, what kind of impact is NIL going to have? And neither one of us had any clue. But neither did Prince, Derek Panansky, and neither did Ed Ogeron. And LSU fumbled the ball. You don't put up a frickin' billboard, NIL, LSU in New York, and having your beautiful gymnasts and all that other stuff, and not follow through with the boosters and the money.
I think they're further along than we think.
Well, they are now, but in this particular recruiting class, Mike, they got hammered, and now a lot of people said there were other priorities. You had to get rid of Coach O in the right way. You had to hire Brian Kelly, and he wanted to be meticulous. So, but I think next year, and let's be honest, Gordon McKernan and other people who have jumped into the situation.
Kudos to him.
Yeah, because look, I don't think you, me, or this fan base could have handled Keyshawn Butte leaving to go to Alabama anytime in January.
It ain't just gonna be him. It's gonna be Dudley DeBosier. It's gonna be Spencer Callahan. I mean, there's gonna be a bunch of those types that they're gonna be involved. Rick Kelly, Mike, do you think LSU will honor Jim Hawthorne? Certainly they will at some point. I don't know what you do for a former voice of the Tigers. You got the Paul Manassa press box. Do you maybe make the radio booth the Jim Hawthorne radio booth? Is there something else that you do? I don't know what other schools have done for their former famous voices, but no doubt, certainly you do something for Jim Hawthorne.
You know, I feel bad. I did have Coach Brown on the show last week, and I should have called Jim Hawthorne up. I enjoyed having Jim on. I had him on in 2021. We had a lot of stories, but, man, I could imagine he's got some Dale Brown stories. But, there's no doubt. Oh, my, Jim Hawthorne definitely deserves some kind of recognition in the future. And, by the way, LSU, what are you doing waiting on Kevin Falk? It's time number 3. The jersey gets retired. Kim Mulkey's asking for a statue for Simone Augustus and Sylvia Fowles, and rightfully so, right by a shack. I want to see.
She threw down the gauntlet today.
Oh, I love it. But I want to see, and look, Kevin Falk and I don't talk. We're not friends. We got relationships. We know each other. But the guy deserves to have his jersey retired, and I'm going to make this prediction. Not that I have any insight on it, but in 2022, I think his jersey gets retired.
So we need to have 3 and 9.
Well, I don't know how quickly you do Burrow, but I tell you what, there's no doubt you're going to have to do something. Oh, by the way, how much fun is it watching the Cincinnati Bengals?
I was talking about that today. I was on Ken Trahan's show, and I said, because I saw it early on, the Bengals come to New Orleans next season. And I'm already working angles to get tickets. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of people in Baton Rouge that are loving watching the Bengals every Sunday, who are going to, and so there's going to be some mixed emotions next football season when the Bengals and the Saints play.
Well, I don't know, man. Watching the Bengals first and then the Saints is like watching paint dry. And of course, they flexed the game with the Saints last week to 325. It was a great game with Cincinnati. Oh, by the way, Mixon, their running back, has COVID. He won't play. Joe Burrow got dinged with the knee, and he's not going to play. But they did clinch the AFC North, so they are in the playoffs. And once again, Mike, back to that original question about A&M and will money buy them a championship. I think it's going to be interesting to see keeping all those egos in line. However, my Aggie buddy did tell me,
unless he hires an offensive coordinator and relinquishes that offense, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I agree with that. But here's what I was going to say. From what I'm hearing, they have these things tied into a 3-year deal, not a 1-year deal.
Oh, and by the way, I'm hearing rumblings that them and Alabama and a few other schools have been out promising NIL deals in the month, and it hasn't been happening. That the promises are not being kept.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say the NCAA was going to look at A&M and Alabama and all that. That wasn't going to be anything. But anyway, look, they're looking in to hire DJ Durkin as their defensive coordinator.
And that's something that can haunt any school.
Sure.
Where you got a local business who's saying they're going to do something, and the check doesn't come.
Yeah.
And then the school gets blamed.
Yeah. Well, it's a tricky landscape that we are on right now. But from the X's and O's back to building up LSU, I got to get this out early because I watched a lot of college football. And in case you've been sleeping for the next month, or the last month, excuse me, John Emery's coming back. And that, I think, some good news. John Emery and Keyshawn Butte, those could be two potential difference makers, but you got to build it at the offensive line.
And that's the problem. LSU does not have a lot of difference makers.
Well, they especially when you look at that 19 team, as you see those going on the Sundays.
You need to have a half a dozen or so.
But here's the
right now
question.
You're talking about one and a half.
Well, but
who's
here's what
who's the difference maker on defense next year?
Yeah,
there isn't one.
Yeah, well, B.J. Ojulari, I think, is a difference maker at the rush end. But here's what I was going to say, Mike. I watched a lot of college football. LSU used to be as good as anybody in the country at running back. They'd have 4 of them every year. Whether you're talking about Fournette and Geis and Darrell Williams and Clyde Edwards, they got to get better at running
What's
back.
What's Gay going to do?
I hadn't heard anything about
I haven't either.
But I'm just going to say, they got to get better at running back. Look at the difference Brian Robinson has made to Alabama since he's been healthy. Hell of a difference.
That 4th and 1 last night where Corey Connor didn't get it, and they just had him by the ankle, I did not like that at all.
Corey Connor's got to lose some weight, in my opinion. He's a load, but he's got to get quicker.
That looked ridiculous.
I think he plays 7 pounds lighter next year.
All right, guys, let's hear from Pride Roofing.
Hi, I'm Michael with Pride Roofing.
I'm Alex.
Were you affected by Hurricane Ida?
Insurance claim, no problem.
Are you concerned about the shortage of building materials?
We have what you need.
We're licensed residential and commercial contractors.
In Louisiana and Mississippi.
We install shingles, metal, and commercial roofing. From Baton Rouge to Slidell or Houma up to the North Shore.
We got you covered. Call Pride, 855-PRIDE-16.
Pride Roofing, the official roofer of TigerBait.com.
And there it is. I talked to Mike Faraday about 6 o'clock tonight, and something we've been teasing for over a month. They made a huge acquisition right there on Florida Boulevard, right across the street. They acquired Crown Metals and Trim right there on Florida Boulevard across the street. So they're going to be your one-stop shop for metal building and roofing needs. PBR panel, AG panel, galvanized and painted 29 and 26 gauge, standing seam 26, standing seam 24, coming seam, purlins, insulation, screws, shingles, rough cut lumber. And now he says, don't forget the Crown Metals and Trim is the official metal distributor of TigerBait.com. And he sent me some pictures. They fabricated a 55-foot, 26-gauge metal panel for a job in Chalmette. And it's the largest panels that Crown had ever produced and shipped. And they had to have a police escort to get it to Chalmette. It was absolutely huge. And so kudos to Mike and Alex for that. And that just shows you the trajectory of Pride Roofing now that they've acquired Crown. And as always, give them a call, 855-PRIDE-16. I've got 2 guys I've got to reach out to tomorrow that jumped on the free promo. You call Pride Roofing for your free roof inspection, and that's commercial or residential, and they're going to pay for you to have free TigerBait Premium for a year.
You talk about the X's and O's and what they're bringing in the product. I talk about the people. Tammy and Yessie, I tell you what, let's give those guys credit because those wives credit, because without those 2 ladies, it doesn't run as smoothly. They are great in PR. They actually live up to what they say. And in that particular business, sometimes it's not easy. We've had a lot of people. You want to get in a competitive bid situation, they're going to sharpen the pencil. They're going to get there early. They're going to clean it up. You're going to be done. It's all in one day. And once again, 18-wheelers with the shingles, with the tarps, all the lumber. Now you got this acquisition. Folks, you're going to hear more and more about them. And here's the kicker. You like doing business with these kind of people because they're the real deal, and they take pride in the product they put out there, but they also take pride in the relationships that they have with their customers, and that's what it's all about. Come on, man. You got to have a relationship with people who you do business with. That's when you spread the word. That's why you should go to Pride Roofing, 275-2041 in Baton Rouge.
Roofing companies everywhere. I see trucks everywhere, different companies, this and that. There's a lot of competition out there, no doubt about it, but when you're talking about a company that's A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, stands by their product, doesn't use any builder grade materials. You're talking about a guy who's an LSU grad, a Broadmoor High School grad, and I personally vouch for him. I love the fact that everybody who sponsors this show, I know personally, and I can personally say that you're dealing with the best of the best when you're dealing with Pride Roofing.
The other thing, Mike and Alex had that acquisition, but you know, when they cut that commercial, Alex got all kinds of offers to go do commercials in Hollywood, and Mike was able to keep him here. Boy, I tell you what, they're fun, but they work hard, and they take great pride. I promise you, you will not be disappointed with your relationship with Pride Roofing.
Dane, getting a little spicy with you, buddy, goes, damn it, buddy, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Besh is recovering from COVID, and there is a high risk of heart fluid complications. But he did play one play. So
No, he just ran on the field, I thought.
I thought he played one play.
Well, listen, Dane, I hate to say this.
Thank you for the super chat, Dane.
I debunk all of that heart situation. That happened like one time out of do we know a college player that has died of COVID? I don't think that has happened. And so if you remember.
And by the way, that heart stuff too, because I know Dellinger jumped all over that because he was one of the original Corona bros.
Oh, no doubt.
That wanted college football.
Not to
and
play.
that got debunked immediately.
Yes, it did.
So,
Dane, here's what I'm saying. If he's cleared to dress out and be in warm-ups, and you got people hugging him and getting in his face and actually interacting close, I think he could have played. And by the way, yeah, whoever sat him in the final game of the regular season because he missed practice all week, I'm sorry. This is the guy, and he will not be a tight end. He will be unleashed. And how exciting.
And why would you even bring him to Houston and have him dress out if he wasn't ready to play?
It behooves me.
William Hodges, Mike, when is the dead period over so the new coach get to work next week? After the national championship game, it gets lifted next week. Start having official visitors. So it's about to get real crazy. And we already saw it last month where you have your official visit weekend and you've got a mixture. You had Miles Frazier, a kid who'd already played a year of college football amongst the high school kids. It's a whole new era of what we're going to be seeing. And I think the month of January is going to be big where we're going to be talking about, and I'm just going to make up a number. We're going to have a dozen official visitors and 5 of them are high school guys. And 7 or 8 of them are transfer portal guys. I think it's gonna be neat. It's gonna be fun to follow.
Brian Polian, one of the sons of Bill Polian, is really the point guy for Brian Kelly. By the way, Brian Kelly, excellent interview last night. They're still kidding him about family. You know, I had to play Sister Sledge on the radio today. We are family. And I'm hearing these words, Mike, family and alignment. When Saban was around, It was relative and the process. I will say this, I am quite confident that as we go through this lull, and here we are in January, and now you're going to start to have this recruiting, and so we've got, is that 4 weeks from today, or is that less than that? Yeah, 4 weeks from today is the national signing period. You realize that? February 3rd, I think it is. So 4 Wednesdays from today, and how many do you think they will add high schools? Jacoby Matthews and, say, 3 or 4 others?
We'll see what happens with Danny Lewis, tied in from Westgate. Citizen, running back.
Yeah, and a couple more that we don't know yet that are in the picture. And then,
by the way, don't take a couple more just because you need to fill spots. If you don't think they can come in and be a player immediately, there is no margin for one to, having where you got half the staff thinks the guy's a guy and the other half doesn't, or you need a guy you think you can develop him to be somebody in 2 years. You got a guy who you think can come in and play right now, and so that's why I think you might even forgo, like Danny Lewis. I think Danny Lewis MVP. I think you take him all day long.
Absolutely.
But what if there's a tight end in the portal who's an all Big 12?
That's a weak position. LSU
take them all.
Cole Taylor hadn't scratched the surface, and
he might be a portal guy.
And Mashburn played well, but he's limited. And no, you take your tight ends. This guy from Cincinnati with Coach Kelly, you're going to see more tight ends, and I promise you, they're going to be big. They're going to be 6'5". They're going to be 260. They're not going to be like Jack Bash, who literally was out of position and was a hybrid tight end. But that's what I was kind of, as I was looking at it, Mike, I'll just ask you this, and no disrespect to this team this year, but don't you think the offensive line, you mentioned Miles Frazier, you know that Bordelon and Will and Emory Jones and all those guys coming in, this offensive line, and then if you get a couple from Notre Dame and a couple in the portal along with Frazier, you're going to have 10 guys, and they are going to be exponentially better than what LSU has right now at O-line. No disrespect to those guys. The second thing, quarterback. You realize what LSU had a quarterback this year? Max Johnson, who had his moments, but also had some problems holding on to the ball too long, locking into the primary receiver, and not having the arm strength to make some throws, and, of course, not the greatest of pocket presence. Got his butt kicked in and was tough and threw an incredible pass to give LSU the A&M victory. And then you had Nussmeier, who played, and, of course, Miles didn't play. Now you've got Miles Brennan coming back, and if he's coming back for year 5, then he's going to work his butt off to get in his best shape. Nussmeier, who I think is the X factor, and as you know, a guy, Walker Howard, who's going to push these two guys to be the best that they can be. So you're appreciably better already at quarterback and O-line. You're keeping Butte. Deion Smith, you heard anything on that? Is he staying, or what have you heard?
I haven't heard anything.
I think what they're going to do is hook him up with an NIL deal, and he'll stay. Malik Neighbors is a star. I'll tell you what I really got excited about, seeing Chris Hilton.
That's where all the difference makers are at.
What's that? Yeah.
Wide receiver.
Well, and then, of course, that's why you got to get
You got to keep Deion Smith if there's a chance.
Offensively, you are going to be appreciably better very quickly. I just sit here and worry about the defense, and you got linebackers and DBs and safeties, and I think Polian is going to have to work some magic getting these players in here, but it's way too early to try and ascertain what LSU is going to look like in January, February, March, April, May. What we're going to be concerned with is going into that summer camp and getting everybody academically, getting them in shape, and getting ready for fall drills. Mike, I think people are going to be excited again.
Let me get through a bunch. We're backed up bad.
Let's go.
Joseph Thaddeus Giat, any chance LSU gets Caleb Williams and Mario Williams?
No.
Tangy Turtle, who's been very active on the show. Thanks for joining us every night lately, Tangy. At Buddy Songy and Big Mike, what are your thoughts on the LSU talent? Do you think these 4 and 5 stars are overrated? If they aren't, then why are the teams like Ole Miss, Kentucky, and MSU beating us? Well, first of all, looking at last night's team, I'd have to go guy by guy, but those weren't all 4 and 5 stars. In fact, who were the 5 stars that were out there last night?
Well, no. None of those guys played this year. None of them played.
No, but I'm talking about, he's talking about on the current team.
Current team. Look, I think everybody just needs to say that there are no locked-in positions, and you all are starting at ground zero again. I would think B.J. Ojolari is going to start. I'll tell you a couple guys that I enjoyed
Blake
seeing.
Ruffino says, "Buddy, I've missed you."
Tell Blake I said, hey, you talked about Tank. Didn't Jacoby and Gilroy play a little nasty last night? Huh?
What's that?
Jacoby and Gilroy. I like the way he looked.
Oh, yeah.
He got a little nasty. And here's the other one that excited me, Chris Hilton.
Yeah,
Come on, guys. Get him a free room at the Hilton.
Listen,
Get him a damn NIL deal. This guy 17's got potential.
punter. You don't want to tangle with Jacoby and Guillory.
But
Was
look,
it a punter or a kicker? What was the number 8 last night that tangled with Guillory and they got the
oh, yeah, the
unsportsmanlike?
kicker, yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Um,
Kansas State, you're a mosquito and you're a pimple on LSU's ass, and you better hope you don't play them anytime soon. But kudos last night because you kicked them up and down the field, and Skylar Thompson.
Well, they made the most of it.
Yeah.
Bart Smokey says number 72 needs to be on the Ring of Honor. Who would be 72?
Well, Stephen Peterman wore 72. I'm sure is he talking about Todd McClure? Tell him which 72 he's talking about.
Yeah, I don't know what 72 you. Yeah.
Come on, Jake.
Well, I'm scrolling down, guys. Give me.
I'll give a quick update. LSU women tomorrow night playing Dawn Staley and the South Carolina.
Glenn Dorsey.
Glenn Dorsey. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, we apologize. Putt is the most decorated LSU football player along with Joe Burrow, and that is certainly something. We apologize, Putt. We apologize to Bart. I was just going to say, LSU women tomorrow night, they're 13. The Lady Gamecocks are 1, even though they got beat by Missouri. And no TV for this game. And the only thing I can think of, Mike, is that when they were setting the TV schedule earlier, it's streaming. It's on SEC Plus.
Yeah, well, that's what I've been watching it.
I know, but if you're going to be in the big leagues and the big boys and the big girls, how about Kim Mulkey saying you better have your big panty girls, your big panties on tonight? It's big panty basketball.
Every time she says something like that, I just know there's some loony, politically correct lefty out there that just doesn't like her using terms like that.
You know what Kim would say, huh? Bring it on.
Yeah.
But 7 o'clock streaming, SEC Network Plus, and in the future, this game will be on TV. I can guarantee you that. It is a whiteout. Also, Simone Augustus being awarded. And so, man, we just mentioned 4 LSU greats. This is why LSU is so great to cover. Simone Augustus and Sylvia Fowles. Hopefully, some great things to come. Kevin Falk and Glenn Dorsey. That's why there's so many.
Simone Augustus gets honored tomorrow night.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying.
And Andrew Bregman is going to be there at halftime.
Alex Bregman.
Yeah.
He was at the tailgate last night with some people in Houston.
Joel Robinson, thank you very much for the super chat. You didn't give us a comment but to read, but we thank you. We thank all of you guys that send us super chats very much. The Youngblood 66. Mike Buddy, the prospect of Miles Brennan throwing to Butte, Besh, and Malik Neighbors this fall should excite every Tiger fan. Yeah.
If he wins the job.
Or it's Nussmeier, or it's Walker Howard.
Look, what I said with Walker.
And I still am of the belief that they're going to need to get another quarterback in the portal.
Sure. Look, I'm excited for Miles. I hope he has a little bit better luck. He really hasn't been lucky at LSU with the injuries and of course, the freak situation last year. But you wish him the best. But this thing about, whether you talk about Risher or Woodley or Insminger or any of these, Burt Jones, all these guys, I mean, there's always been a slew of quarterbacks. And now in this day and age, you're lucky if you have 3. You get if you add another one, a transfer portal guy, that gives you 4, and that minimizes the loss of somebody who gets the red ass and says, I'm not in the mix, I'm going in the transfer portal.
Does Dorsey get honored that way before Alan Faneca because he was on a team that won a title?
Another one right there. I mean, look.
The greatest offensive lineman in LSU history.
Well, look, Kevin Mawai went into the Hall, Faneca went in the Hall, and I can tell you, Andrew Whitworth's going in the Hall the first day he's eligible, first year he's eligible. But That, to me, is what's exciting. It's not going to be as entertaining. It's not going to be as explosive. And it's not going to be as, can I say, orgasmic for those LSU fans that love 50-something points a game. Remember in New Orleans at the Manning camp just a couple of years ago? Joe Burrow looks up and says, we're going to average 40 or 50 points. Yeah, in Thibodeau at the Manning camp. We're going to average 40 or 50 this year. And everybody's going like, is this guy saying this? And it came to fruition. But you're going to see LSU pound people, roll people over, get physical. And the old school people that grew up with the Chinese Bandits and the old defensive teams, they're going to love this more. The young people want offense, and I want a combination of the two. But LSU is going to get appreciably better in the line of scrimmage, and that starts from the bodies that they're changing starting today. Coach Kelly called me and said, let's get better every day, one day at a time.
William Hodges, Mike, how many of those Notre Dame portal guys come to LSU? Look, we've been getting stuff for a couple of weeks now that there would be up to 7 Notre Dame guys, maybe more. I know possibly 2 or 3 offensive linemen, a tight end. We'll see. I know one of them's already in the portal, a kid from Minnesota, but I'm not sure how good that guy is and whether Coach Kelly would target him. We'll see.
Oh, they got 4 or 5 already.
But don't forget, Brad Davis has his own list too, and he's retained Brad. So, and like you said earlier, what a representation, how well he represented LSU.
Now, let's give Brad credit. This offensive line got appreciably better after about week 5 or 6 when they got some healthy guys. But my point, Mike, that I was trying to make is that LSU as a team, to the naked eye, is going to look appreciably different.
Yeah, the offensive lineman went to Minnesota, Quinn.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim Milano, I don't like ground and pound against Alabama as a strategy.
Well, no, I'm just trying to say that if you expect, hey, look, Jim, we love you, man, but if you expect Brian Kelly to come in here and throw for 400 yards against Alabama's defense the first year, I just don't think he's. How long did it take Nick Saban to get acclimated to the offense in the SEC? It took him years. Jimbo, still, you and I think it's like watching paint dry. Kirby Smart has never been. Look what Kirby Smart and Georgia have done. So there's a lot of ways to skin a cat and win football games. And this is going to be interesting. Oh, by the way, they are going to have some meetings. They are all these committees and chancellors and the ADs and all that. They're talking quite often in the next week about moving forward with this CFP, if it stays at 4 or if it goes to 12. And
did you see our debate last night?
No,
if you had the what would you choose? Would you choose to go to 12, or would you choose to go back to the 2-team BCS?
Oh man! Well, look, money dictates everything. Okay.
No, but if it was up to you, and that wasn't what you were looking at.
I don't know. I don't have a quick answer on that. Look, I do know this.
I go back to the 2-team BCS.
Yeah. Well, the BCS had some computer issues, and so
I think it always worked.
There's no. Well, you say it always worked, but the LSU and Oklahoma played in 2003, and Oklahoma got fried in the.
But it was actually right though.
Well, USC was on the outside. They didn't play in an extra game, if you remember. That was one of the reasons why Saban said they didn't belong. Look, there's no fail-safe perfect system every year. But 12 gets more SEC teams, which means more money, and the TV networks make more money. I hate to say it. I think they're going to go to the bigger number versus go back to 2.
American Patriot, thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you guys for putting out great shows week after week and for all the great information you give us. I am so proud of those men last night. And that's absolutely right. Preston and I talked about that. Buddy and I talked about that on his show earlier today. You know, it's one thing to say that you weren't looking forward to the game, or that you wish they would have gotten out of it or didn't accept the bid, whatever. But the kids did work. They went to practice every day, and the ones who showed up last night and didn't opt out and played, and John Trey Kirkland, who didn't bat an eye and gave it everything he could, is a former high school quarterback. He didn't show any nervousness to me. He did the best he could in a bad situation. So you're right. I think any of those kids, if you see them around town, deserve to be given a thank you, even though it wasn't pleasant to look at.
I think his last 2 passes were actually touchdowns. You
Yeah.
love that long one at the end of the game. Look, I'm not going to beat up Jake Peets because we've done that. We're hearing strong overtures that they got to pay him 1.2 the next 2 years. They like him, and they may find a spot in him. He's not going to be calling any plays. But Mike, it's been an interesting year, and I got to ask you, because I didn't really ask you this as we bring in more interaction, but did you have any idea this would be such a crazy year this year? I mean, from the sissy blue shirts, I mean, I don't know one person that thought LSU was going to get their butts beat at UCLA. And it has been a wild ride. So I think that the Tiger fans that I want, I don't care if they're 20 all the way up to 80, they want a little more consistent ride. I mean, this season's been like NIL. Everybody's driving on the interstate and there's no stop sign and nobody knows what lane to ride in or what exit to get off of. But I think there's some stability coming, and that is what. And I know you hate the C word. He hates culture, but that was a very toxic culture, and there's a line right there. And you want to walk over it, Trey Palmer, Dwight McGlothern, whoever, you're going to get a slap on the wrist or you're going to get a kick in the butt and the boot. And we're going to see how long it takes to purge everybody off and then the rebuild. But it's going to be a slow process, as you said, a lot of blood, a lot of toughness. Brian, is it rock bottom? Who knows? But I think you're going to be happy come September.
Let me talk about Tony Freeman. Of course, she's a big part of this show each and every week. And so bottom line, if you're thinking of buying a new home, refinancing your current mortgage, but haven't found a lender you can trust, let me tell you about Tony Freeman with Assurance Financial right here in Baton Rouge. She's a dear friend of mine, someone who many of my friends have used for their mortgage needs repeatedly. Her knowledge of over 25 years experience in the mortgage industry is unsurpassed. She offers a wide range of knowledge of home loan products, whether you're a first-time home buyer, ready to buy a new home, or you just want to explore your refinance options. Tony can guide you through your next mortgage experience. You can feel confident you're making the best financial decision with Tony as your guide. Not only is Tony a huge LSU fan, but Assurance Financial is a proud partner of LSU Athletics. Give her a call today, 225-239-7150. Again, call Tony at 225-239-7150. And please, whatever you do, tell her that you heard about her on TigerBait.com. NMLS number 104765, Equal Housing Opportunity 70876.
And to correspond with our great sponsor, Pride Roof, and Tony takes great pride also in the job that she does. We've talked to so many people. You know so many people. You go in there, and we're talking about a really serious part. All the things and all the little I's that have to be dotted and the T's crossed. And how many times have people told you, she put me at ease. I felt like I knew her for months and years, and she handled her business professionally. And then we had a cup of coffee or a bottle of water, and we laughed, and I love doing business with her.
That is a stressful experience. You're going to buy a new home, you make an offer, and next thing you know, you got something on your deal that you didn't know was there, and you got to get that cleared off, and she's going to walk you through that experience. And she's going to do it with a calm demeanor, happy-go-lucky. She's the best. So y'all give Tony Freeman a call with Assurance Financial. Even if you're just wondering what the rates are and, compare it to what you currently got. Can you save money on your current mortgage? She's the best.
Yeah, and of course, a part of being an LSU sponsor.
Yep. Let's scroll down. Let me get to some more comments here.
Going to hit you with some basketball stuff. Incredible game last night. We will talk a little bit about this. I know Mike's going to want to get out of here in a few minutes. I could sit here in the last couple hours. By the way, speaking of Blake, you got to have elephantitis. And if you don't know what that is, that's a sack of big onions. I'm sitting in here, and so I go to Are You Serious to see what he's got if he's going to do a post game. He went in, and of course he's blown up with Twitter Spaces, but he's in there and he's having a chat with people during the second half. And it was probably a great opportunity. So he's really done a good job of working hard. And I got to be honest with you. I think Blake Ruffino next year is going to be the most happiest son of a gun in town. Because that offensive line, Mike, he's going to do this. Look. I told you boys that they are going to be so much better. No line. It's not funny.
Look, man, and believe me, I assure you, I am not throwing darts at anybody locally that does it, because there's somebody in every market. I know the Georgia site guys do it. I've seen Texas A&M site guys do it. I've seen it all over YouTube. I am a YouTube junkie for college football. But how does anybody think that somebody wants to watch you watch a football game? I know the Auburn guy does it. I know him. Like, they go live during the football game and the camera's on them watching the TV. How arrogant do you have to be to think that somebody wants to watch you watch a football game?
Well, they respect your opinion, and they
Just
want
so
to
you
hear.
can cuss and say silly things. I don't know.
Let me
not
tell you.
Not only that, it's not syncing up with the TV. So I don't get it.
Well, look, there's a method to everybody's madness. So keep working hard, BR, and keep doing the great job. He's developed a great fan base, and of course he's exploding on YouTube, just like Mike and Preston in their post game. I got to be honest with you, I'm really happy that I got out of post game on
Jimmy
TV.
Magoo says Mike seems hella tense. He might need to call relief med.
No, I think that there's a couple
Little dude, Mike needs a spa treatment. Yeah, I could use one of those now.
Hey, real quick
Smoke a bowl and relax, Mike. Jimmy Magoo.
Look, just real quick, don't forget now, Whiteout tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. You know we made these predictions, Mike, or at least I know you made some of them. I made all of them. I said LSU would sell out a women's game and sell out a men's game and sell out a gymnastics meet. And Jay Clark, by the way, starts their season on Friday. Centenary's coming in. West Virginia ladies will coming in. They've got COVID protocols. If you're out there and you want to do something smart that anybody can do, take your vitamin D pill every day. Vitamin D, I'm not trying to play Dr. Buddy here, but if you put that vitamin D and that vitamin C in it, I think you're going to be better off. And we know that it's ramping up again.
Most people are vitamin D deficient.
Well, but I'm saying it's ramping up again, and we don't want it to certainly cause problems in our family lives, but we don't want it to affect sports. I think people would have some serious trauma if we go back to not being able to have a fully attended game. But Kim Mulkey, I don't think they're going to sell it out, but tomorrow night they're going to get closer. They're going to get about 9 in there. And Will Wade's 5 o'clock with Tennessee. And then, of course, as we know, Jay and the gymnastics ladies. But I really believe this is not just, pumping into people and BS. I really think 2022 can be a pretty special year. And, oh, by the way, Jay Johnson. Talked to Coach Johnson today. Not really. But love talking to that guy. And you know the big question that Benny Latino and all the baseball experts are saying, huh, Mike? Are you going to eat an Omaha steak in Omaha, or are you going to buy them off of TV? And right now, I like LSU's chances, and I like the way that man has come about here and has set up. So, look, when you think about the future of LSU athletics, it's got a lot of positive direction.
You guys tell me in the chats. And by the way, do me a favor. If you enjoyed the show, please share it to your Facebook timeline, social media. And if you're watching us on YouTube, I always say it every night, please hit the subscription button and the notification bell. Very much appreciative. And as always, go to TigerBait.com, subscribe. If you follow the link to our website and you're watching it in the TigerBait browser, go a little bit above it, and it shows you how to get TigerBait Premium for a year. Always choose the annual package. You save money versus going monthly. But tomorrow night, how many of y'all are going tomorrow night to the game? I think it's going to be a packed house. They want you to wear white. And do you think they can beat South Carolina? I watched Missouri beat them last week with only 7 players.
Carolina has had a couple of their players that were in the COVID protocol. I think they're going to get the word on them. Man, I got to be honest with you. Who would have thought at this time, January 5, 2022, that LSU women and men had a combined loss total of 2? I don't know anybody that would have said that a month ago or whenever. So it's great to have basketball coming back up.
I'm continually amazed by look, I know the TigerBait clientele. They're all football heads. They're all recruiting heads. I'm amazed by the number of guys who were probably didn't watch Simone Augustus or Sylvia Fowles. They paid attention and were excited when they went to the Final Four. But how many of them are going to games? How many are watching games on ESPN Plus, following it? We did something on TigerBait we'd never done before. Did two recruiting updates on Michaela Williams, the 5-star guard, the number 1 player in the country up at Parkway in Bossier City, and LSU fans are just eating it up. Mulkey fever.
She is the real deal. By the way, flipping over to the men, that is a big, big win last night for Will Wade. Mike, one of the things that hit me as we were talking about the second half, LSU played in spurts. They played well at the beginning. It was not a bad start. But Xavier Pinson, Eric Gaines, they dribble a lot. And last night, Pinson was forcing a lot of things. He didn't have one of his better games. Really, Darius Days made three balls, but he took about 10 or 11.
I singled Days out in our game chat. I said, man, he's 2 for 10 for 3 pointers. All right, maybe it's not your night. And then boom, he hits the key 3-pointer.
Yeah. Well, and so anyway, the great thing about LSU last night is that they did not play their best. Now, Kentucky, as you saw, Wheeler with that pick, man.
I can't stand Calipari.
Well, no, nobody can stand him anyway. But my point is that there were some ups and downs, but they're up 8 with about 2 minutes, and Xavier Pinson is your point guard and goes to the free throw line. You got to make 2 free throws. You're up 10. He misses both of them, and all of a sudden Kentucky comes back, and it got a little crazy at the end. And then, of course, as we know, I did not know Patrick Wright was on the call with John Brady because Chris Blair was doing football. So I still never got that question answered. If you're smart enough out there, I will give you 10 pounds of Amanda smoked sausage if you can answer this question. Has it ever happened before? Now, Todd Polich is the guy that's probably going to win it, but has it ever happened before where LSU basketball and football played on the same day or same night?
Well, not only that.
Did we ever get the answer?
And not only that, LSU's one of I think I saw the graphic, Fox Basketball put it out, is one of only 6 schools where both the men and the women are in the top 25.
I know, but I'm trying to recollect if it's ever happened before because I never remembered a football game or a basketball game on the same actual calendar date. But that all being said, Brandon Murray, really big, both offensively and defensively. He's 6'5", he's a big body, he does the dirty work. Good to have him back. Sharif O'Neal's coming back real soon, could be in the next game or two. Eric Gaines played calm, hit his first 3, hit another 3 that bounced up and went in, played much better. Pinson played a little out of control, but made some big plays at the end. Days, like we said. But one thing that you got to give Darius Days and Will Wade, he keeps shooting them. And so can you imagine what they're going to look like when he's hot? Efton Reed grew up last night. Mwani Wilkerson. So you got 8 or 9, Justice Williams. Fun to watch the ladies. And, oh, by the way, if you want to watch some coaching, watch Kim Mulkey and know if she could coach the men on offense in the half-court offense, holy cow. Both coaches doing a great job.
Yeah, get your tickets for tomorrow night.
And get that Pete Mavericks Assembly Center going crazy again.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm wrong, and I'll find out and get it. But I think there's still some tickets going to be had.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a hard sellout last night, and didn't Brian tell you actual was about 8 or 9? So
yeah, but I think this women's game can be big tomorrow night.
Yeah.
There's nothing else going up against it, and you got number 1 South Carolina coming to town, and what's the coach for A&M?
Gary Blair.
Gary Blair. Did you see what he said Sunday?
Yeah.
He said, no excuses, LSU fans. Y'all need to pack the place for South Carolina. I enjoyed watching his interview.
He and Coach Mulkey have had a great relationship through the years.
So I might even see y'all tomorrow night. I'm thinking about going myself.
All right.
So.
But anyway, just an overview on basketball. I thought Coach Wade did a really good job with some adjustments. Started pressing and trapping, made Kentucky turn it over. Kentucky, it was a physical game, and LSU, they were averaging 16 offensive boards, and their stud down low only had 4 offensive boards.
LSU can play physical too.
Yeah, so 39 rebounds for each team. Still not what you call a great outside shooting team, but Mike, for about a 5-minute stretch, from 10 minutes on, LSU got in their jock, they got in their chest, they got in their body, played man-on-man defense, and that is something that this Will Wade team does better than any of his other teams. So keep growing with them, It's a lot of fun. You got to sign a date.
We're about to have a hell of a spring. You're about to have
Sign a date in 4 weeks.
signing day, transfer portal, building the football program back up. Men's basketball, women's basketball. Jay Johnson's getting cranked up in 3 weeks.
Well, 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Mid-February.
Yeah, but we'll get like a media day
Oh,
before
yeah,
we
yeah.
get into February.
And oh, by the way, we may get, is it all right? Can we get Coach Johnson on one of these shows?
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, and maybe some baseball guys. So we got a lot in store. But the main thing I want to reiterate with football is that nobody knows right now. No, not even Brian Kelly, not Scott Woodward, not anybody. But when you have the people in place, and you still got to name a wide receiver coach and some other positions, but when you have people in place that have a history of knowing how to do it, whether it's at Cincinnati or Notre Dame or whatever, you just got to let them do what they do and on their time frame. And it's going to take some patience. But all you Tiger fans that have messaged me or whatever and said, I'm so worried they're going to be like Tennessee and irrelevant, that is a bunch of malarkey. LSU is still wounded from the last 2 years. And you know what they say, Mike? You see the same people on the way up as you do on the way down. Is this rock bottom for LSU football in the next month, or you think it can go even a little lower?
I think go a little lower, but I think you're going to get a low news, and then you're going to get 2 good news. And then you're going to get another low, and then you may get 4 good news items in a row, and then another bad one. I think it starts to even out, and the positive news start to overtake.
You remember
because there's not much worse that can happen now.
You know what doing the limbo is? How low can you go?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think though it's going to be a lot of fun, and what I really love is that Brian Kelly has realized very quickly. I thought I saw November 29, so he's been over here about 5 weeks. He's seen very quickly that there are a lot of people on the outside that don't want him to succeed. And you know what? That is going to be even more motivational. I'm not going to tell you he's going to come out and make every play call that you want and every personnel decision that you want. Nothing ever happens that way. I'm just saying there's a reason this guy is going to make $100 million. And oh, by the way, Mike and I have said this, but his contract is tied directly to Scott Woodward. Scott Woodward's gone in 5 years. Brian Kelly is not committed to LSU. So I think it's going to be interesting to see just how quickly they can reestablish. But it is a rebuild more so than a reload.
Let me get a few of these, and then we wrap up. We just went over the hour mark. Tracy Watson, Howell, wish I lived in Baton Rouge. I would definitely be at that game tomorrow night. Let's go, Brandon. I get it. Let's go, Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
Lesco, but when you read it, let's go, Brandon. Okay. Buddy, you riled up tonight. Good show. Thank you, Let's Go, Brandon.
Hey, I have a New Year's resolution to be calm this year. I told you that before the show, right?
Yeah, and then I need to get this one in. We'll end with this one. Jimmy Magoo, definitely. I tuned in kind of late, but have y'all already discussed Austin Thomas leaving?
Well, we discussed it on the radio, and once again, I kind of grouped it together with Eddie Kennison a couple days before, and obviously Tommy Moffitt and Corey Raymond and all those guys that people had an affinity to, had relationships with, and have been here through the thick, the thin, and national championship. It's hard to see all that go. But when you have a new guy coming in, remember we said Jay Johnson? Oh, man, he's got to hire some guys that know about this. Look, when you do it right, what did Jamie Howard and Walker Howard say? We were blown away about his plan, his attention to detail, his focus, and we're on the train because guess what? It's moving on up.
I was a proponent of day one of absolute total clean house.
Well, my point is,
I didn't want
that
any retreads.
Austin Thomas, you know him much better than I do, and so I'll let you make final comments on that. But yeah,
I haven't had really any. I mean, I see Austin every now and then. I say hello. I joke with him because he's had a lot of closing costs.
Yeah.
You want to talk about financing homes?
Yeah.
I mean, he's been to LSU, USC, back to LSU, Texas A&M, Baylor, back to LSU. Tennessee flirted with in the same time period. So best to Austin and his wife and his young family.
Hey, get out there and support Coach Mulkey and the Lady Tigers and Will Wade and the guys on Saturday. If you love some gymnastics, Jay Clark going to have a fantastic squad. And once again, I really think come August, it's going to hit us like it does every August. It's going to be ups and downs and all the other stuff that happens. But come August, most of those people out there watching right now are going to be calling in and listening and talking and going on social media and saying, Mike, Buddy, can LSU win 9 or 10 games? And the number right now is irrelevant. The bottom line is
7. 7 and 5 is the over and under.
Oh, come on. You seen the schedule?
Yeah.
Okay.
7 and 5.
They're going to be 5-0 to start the season. Of course, you know what? I said that last year. And, oh, by the way, the sissy blue shirts.
Let me tell you something. If he goes 8 and 4, he should automatically be SEC Coach of the Year.
But you can't say that. You got to wait to see how all the pieces to the puzzle. This is jigsaw puzzle time.
All right.
Every piece to the puzzle is not even being close to put in the puzzle. It's going to be a lot. But, Mike, if you get the O-line and look.
Don't forget.
LSU Chris, I got to give him a shout out.
The schedule flips. You go to Auburn, to Florida, to A&M next year.
Yeah, okay.
And you open with Florida State.
Well, it's this year because we're 2020.
And you get Tennessee coming in.
Yeah, my point
Where
is,
they're almost kind of equal.
my point is this. I'm giving a shout out to one of our more popular guys on the message board, LSU Chris. I actually had to take my temperature because I saw him post something positive on the board this week. And, he's beating up Brian Kelly, didn't like the pace that Brian Kelly had dove into the swimming pool with recruiting and all the other things. Brian Kelly is going to do what he does best. And what I like, Mike, is this staff that's coming on, just about 90% of them are prime A recruiters. A&M is paying to get recruits. Texas is paying. Georgia and Alabama and everybody else, Ohio State, Clemson. This has been going on.
Watch Polian.
But you got a guy that knows what he's doing, and I think his surrounding staff, you're going to be back in the mix, but it's too early to say 7, 8, or 9. We got way too much happenings to come about.
Brian Lazar, talked to him earlier. He's going to have a big feature tomorrow talking about what the numbers are right now. Once everybody's opted back in, where things lie, what still needs to happen with the current roster, and what it's going to take likely for LSU to get back to where they're at a strong 85. Because right now, numbers-wise, they're more fit to play in the Southland than they are in the Southeastern.
But I had this discussion with PFM, one of our great listeners, and he's on Blake's show and on this show and all that. Mike, LSU hadn't been around 85 in 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay? After 19, remember you had 14, 10 go up early, and then 14, and you lost 20 players from that team.
And that's why you had to hire a new coach, because that's what it does to you.
But you self-imposed 8. So they haven't. You only need about 65, really, if you want to cut into it.
As long as the 65 can all play.
Well, that's what we're looking for Brian Kelly to do, to come in here with quality versus quantity. And when I saw that roster this year, and I've read this out on my radio in here, when I mentioned all those offensive linemen that were walk-ons, that was a telltale that none of us wanted to see. Be patient, folks. This is going to be a hell of a good year for you LSU fans.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Go to TigerBait, subscribe, and we'll be back here next week. And thanks to all of you to participate tonight. Thanks for the super chats. And I'll see all the rest of you on our Tiger Den Premium message board. We'll have a live game chat tomorrow night and all the coverage from that. So thanks to all you participating, and we'll see y'all next time.